Matthew 20:17-28. Now Jesus was going up to Jerusalem. On the way he took the 12 aside and said to them, "We are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the teachers of the law. They will condemn him to death and will hand him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified. On the third day he will be raised to life." Then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with her sons and, kneeling down, asked a favour of him. "What is it you want?" he asked. She said, "Grant that one of these 2 sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in your kingdom." "You don't know what you are asking," Jesus said to them. "Can you drink the cup that I am going to drink?" "We can," they answered. Jesus said to them, "You will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at my right or left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father." When the 10 heard about this, they were indignant with the 2 brothers. Jesus called them together and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many."
Family. To a greater or lesser extent, we all have them, and they can be great. Family are often the ones who understand you best. They make you feel amazing at times, but they also have their downsides. They also know how to make you feel bad, and I don't want to say that's a deliberate thing, but they know how to press your buttons. Some people have great relationships with family, but others, there's real hurt and upset over family tensions and tussles. Some people meet up with family members regularly, others have no contact with members of their family at all. Some have lost family members. I have. Family can be a really touchy subject. And here is a well-meaning mother, and she has a word with Jesus about her 2 sons. James and John, they are the 2 sons of Zebedee. They were well-known disciples. They get mentioned a lot in Scripture. The mother of these 2 grown-up men takes Jesus aside and wants to guarantee that her kids get a good place in heaven at each side of Jesus for eternity. Now, it's a bit of a daft ask, and we can see that, but let's give the mother a bit of credit here. She is not there when Jesus talks to the disciples at the start of the passage, when Jesus predicts his death for a 3rd time. So she hasn't heard Jesus' talk to the disciples about this upside down nature of what this journey to Jerusalem is all about. But still, it's a bit of a silly ask. "My 2 boys, one each side of you, please." It's kind of classic pushy mum. But Jesus' answer is dripping with grace. In verse 22, Jesus says, "You don't know what you're asking for." Jesus said to them all, "Can you drink the cup that I am going to have to drink?" "We can," they answered. So hang on then. The men's mother had taken James and John with them to Jesus for this chat. They're there. Now, they were there when Jesus was trying to explain the upside down nature of the kingdom of heaven. And they all reply, "No, I can drink this cup. I can do what you can do." In verse 23, it says that Jesus gave them these words. Jesus said to them, "You will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at my right or my left, well, that's not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father." Jesus states that God is in charge of the seating plan and says that his followers will indeed experience much of the torture, persecution and death that he, Jesus, will. Remember, he's just spoken about his own death coming really shortly. Now, it says the other 10 disciples are really annoyed. They're annoyed in the extreme about this request. But Jesus calms the whole bunch down with a statement that levels everyone beautifully. Verse 26 to 28. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. I came to serve, basically, Jesus says. Whoever wants to be greatest among you must serve the others. Now, this statement was so counter-cultural to the world around them. The Romans were in charge, of course. And, for the Romans, they had slaves. They weren't slaves. They had servants. They weren't servants. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, they didn't serve. They provided a service. There was difference. It sounded similar, but it was really different from what Jesus was suggesting. But Jesus came not to be served, like the Romans or the Pharisees maybe. Not to use his own crown and throne as a way of getting others to serve him. Put his feet up and relax. He was down in the mud and mess. Jesus was with the slaves and the servants.